What is the ideal age to start a business? It might as well be a proverb. Take chances while you're young so you can tell stories when you're old. It's true that the average age of medal winners in the Olympic Games during the past 100 years, that is for both men and women, were 24.5 and 23 years respectively, and most of these younglings were training since childhood. The youth is quite incredible when it comes to physical agility, strength, and athleticism. But keep in mind, kids are young and dumb, and some tasks require a level of experience and wisdom to be the key to success. Welcome back to Billionaire Crypto Investor. You're headed for a real treat with this one. So smack that like button and make sure you've subscribed. Consider the following. The average age that people become millionaires in modern times is actually 30 years old through 50. So if you're in this age range, don't you dare think you're too old to start a business. Facts show that you're actually in your prime to do so. Here's all the details that you need to know about the ideal age to start a business. It doesn't seem odd at all when you actually think about it. The middle age tend to show more restraint and wisdom as they've had several decades to master their emotions and get a grip on real life. So, no wonder a study of 2.7 million startups found that the ideal age to start a business was actually in the middle age range. So sit back and relax. Give yourself a pat on the back. Your age is still at your advantage. Now start thinking of what sort of entrepreneur you'd like to be. Here's the brass tacks. He's a keynote speaker, prominent ghostwriter, LinkedIn influencer, and contributing editor to Inc.com. Jeff Hayden is a thorough researcher accredited for writing The Motivation Myth, how high achievers really set themselves up to win. And in his studies, he came upon a shocking fact which spurred him to write about it and share the truth. Because the truth will set you free. Jeff Hayden via Inc.com informs the world. According to a study conducted by the Census Bureau, including MIT professors, it's been confirmed that the most successful entrepreneurs tend to be middle-aged. And even though old heads tend to be behind the curve when it comes to technology, they're actually leading in the tech sector for startup businesses. To conduct this study, researchers compiled a list of 2.7 million company founders who hired at least one employee between 2007 and 2014. It may not come as a major shock to many, but it was discovered that the average startup founder was 45 years old when he or she founded the company and hit the jackpot. As a matter of fact, a 50-year-old entrepreneur is almost twice as likely to start an extremely successful company compared to a 30-year-old. This data also showed that middle-aged folks are also more than likely to be successful with a simple side hustle gig as well as finding better methods for passive income. Let's go over the numbers for those concrete learners. So here's the core of the findings. A 50-year-old startup founder is 2.2 times more likely to found a successful startup as a 30-year-old. A 40-year-old startup founder is 2.1 times more likely to found a successful startup as a 25-year-old. And a 50-year-old startup founder is 2.8 times more likely to found a successful startup as a 25-year-old founder. As for another fun and motivating fact that will tingle your guts and make you feel all warm inside, it was discovered that a 60-year-old startup founder is actually 3 times as likely to found a successful startup over a 30-year-old startup founder. Want some icing on that cake? It's also 1.7 times as likely to found a startup that winds up in the top 0.1% of all companies. Do these facts seem puzzling? Well, let's answer that favorite question of the youth. Why? Without a doubt, there are plenty of reasons, but the main reason is actually simple. The youth are filled with ideas, but the older folks can actually get the job done. It's the scope of having ideas versus execution. In general, older folks understand that execution is everything, and they normally have the means to just do it. Older folks normally have the patience to make a true strategy and follow through with righteous tactics. Let's espouse on that, shall we? Strategy is the action plan that takes you from point A to point B or more. whereas tactics are the individual steps and actions that will get you to point B or beyond. In a business context, this means the specific actions teams take to implement the initiatives outlined in the strategy. In a business context, this means the specific actions teams take to implement the initiatives outlined in the strategy. Honestly, when you're young, dumb, and full of, it's much more difficult to make smart tactical decisions, let alone execute directives. This struggle intensifies given the fact that entrepreneurs must make several decisions every day. We all know that one wrong decision can be a major setback. So when the entrepreneur has limited experience, the vulnerability of the company increases twofold. In Jeff Hayden's article published on Inc.com, he wrote the following: "Think of it this way. People love to say, you need to know what you don't know. The only way to decrease the number of things you don't know and have a reasonable grasp of which things you do well and which you don't is by gaining experience." At the end of his article, Jeff Hayden gave words of motivation for middle-aged folks that brings a relief as he explains, if you're in your 40s and you want to start a business, do it. If you're in your 50s, do it. If you're in your 60s, do it. Successful entrepreneurs don't have some intangible entrepreneurial something, ideas, talent, drive, skills, creativity that you don't. Their success only seems inevitable in hindsight. Every entrepreneur at some point looked in the mirror and said, lots of other people have succeeded and so will I. Believe in yourself, especially if you're willing to work hard and persevere. Science proves that your experience, your skills, your connections, your expertise, and yes, your age are on your side. Start putting all that to work for you. You have the age, you have the wisdom, and that's incredibly beneficial where leadership experience is concerned. Just in case you're still not convinced, let's review some biographies as reinforcements. Leo Goodwin started the insurance company Geico at 50. Leo Goodwin got his experience in the field of insurance as he composed insurance policies. He was 50 years old when he and his wife Lillian decided to open up their own company. In 1936, they created the Government Employees Insurance Company, and in the first year, the company had 3,700 policies. Fast forward to today, Geico has approximately 17 million auto policies and has become one of the most recognizable brands in the US, especially with their hilarious TV ads. Harlan Colonel Sanders created Kentucky Fried Chicken at 62. Until the age of 40, Harlan Sanders served in the military and had countless odd jobs. One of those jobs was serving fried chicken at a service station in Kentucky. Not only did his recipe bring in more customers and grow overwhelmingly in popularity, it gave him a grand idea. So, in 1952, Kentucky Fried Chicken started, and old Colonel Sanders was then 62 years old. From there, Sanders franchised his recipe to a friend in Salt Lake City, Utah, and a decade later, the company had expanded to hundreds of franchises. Colonel Sanders then sold his ownership for $2 million. Fast forward to today, and watch your jaw drop to learn that KFC is now valued at amazing $12.6 billion. Ray Kroc created McDonald's when he was 52. Today, McDonald's brings in more than $21 billion in sales. It will be an understatement to mention that McDonald's is definitely one of the most recognizable brands in the world. After all, McDonald's was one of the first fast food joints. Yet even though the world enjoys McDonald's daily, most customers are unaware that it all started in 1954 with three men. Two brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald, owned a restaurant and had impeccable skill. Along with their unique assembly, their food operation was quite impressive. When Ray Kroc stumbled in and witnessed their effectiveness, he swiftly had dreams of grandeur. At the age of 52, Ray Kroc turned their business into a franchise and created the McDonald's System, Inc. It seems that the 1932 self-help book by Walter B. Pitkin is actually true. Life truly begins at the age of 40. If you're blessed to be in this pedigree, it's time to execute your ideas and make your dreams a reality for your golden years. For more vital videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to Billionaire Crypto Investor.